The Wall Street Journal is reporting that Google plans to give kids under 13 the ability to create their own online accounts. Well, Google hasn't released details, but the report raises questions about how old kids should be before they have their own profile online. Samantha Kemp-Jackson is a parenting writer and a blogger on Multiple Mayhem Mama, and she's got 4 kids. They range in age from 5 to 29, and Samantha's with us now to talk about kids, about the internet, about the role that parents can play, should play. Good morning to you, Samantha.
Good morning.
You've got a 10-year-old daughter and she has her own Gmail account. So she joined even though she's not 13.
She did. And she did it with the assistance of her father. So she was fully supported in the choice to be online. And, she was not the first to have an email account amongst her peers. It's actually quite common.
Okay. And what made you think, and what made her dad think that she is old enough to have it? If even Google are saying, that 13 is really the time when you're meant to sort of have the proper date of birth to be able to enable yourself to get one of these accounts. Why did you think she was okay?
Yes. Well, the reality is that it's the cost of doing business these days, even if you're under 13, if you're between the ages of 10 and 13. There were things that she would come to us for, such as wanting to sign up for online contests or events, that we would fully vet, of course, and we thought that was completely appropriate. Further to that, her teachers at school were requiring that she had an email account because they would send out information regarding homework, regarding assignments, to not only her, but to us as her parents. So it's almost the expectation these days that there is some type of digital form of communication for kids, even between the ages of 10 and 13.
That's so interesting that is an assumption on the part of schools, and I'm sure for their purposes it makes for great efficiency in one way. But there must come up the question between you and the teachers about monitoring that. How do teachers expect parents to monitor online activity if they're using it as one of the school tools?
Well, that's a really great question, and I completely agree. My thoughts on it are that she is not allowed to email anybody without us knowing, and particularly with the teachers, there's always a CCing of either myself or my daughter's father. So I've advised my daughter, you are not to email your teacher or anybody at the school or anybody beyond your circle that we've pre-approved, which includes, close family, grandparents, aunts, and friends that we know without our knowledge. But yes, there absolutely needs to be on the part of the school board some type of overarching strategy and view of how kids are going to be addressed.
I said in the introduction, Sam, that you have children ranging in age from 5 to 29. So when you look at the 29-year-old, there's a lot of difference in raising that one as opposed to the 4-year-old, the 5-year-old, the 10-year-old.
Yes, absolutely. So when my 29-year-old was 10 years old, way back when, it would have been 1995, this was not even a topic of discussion because, there was no internet, or the internet was in its infancy, and there wasn't an issue about emailing or being online or Twitter or Facebook or all of these things that we worry about now as parents, such as cyberbullying. These days, I think that parents, the onus is on them to be a lot more understanding, adept, and knowing what's out there and what the best practices are in terms of protecting their kids online. So it really is about educating yourself as a parent and also educating your child and setting up parameters insofar as how they use digital technology.
And indeed what bits of it they use. So although you allow her a Gmail account, you're not quite as open with her about Facebook. How old do you think a child should be before they have their own Facebook account?
Well, it might sound funny, but I think they need to be a little bit older. I think any type of social media such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it's a little bit of a slippery slope because we've all seen tragic instances where kids have been cyberbullied to sometimes tragic events. And I think that happens more likely on Facebook, Twitter, those types of accounts. So I think that Gmail or email is fairly standard, but I think social media proper, I think kids need to wait a little bit longer before they're on it. And when they go on it, again, it's that whole discussion that parents need to have with the kids about how it's used. And parents should always be monitoring their child's online activities because kids have no forethought and they don't realize that what they put online now may come back to haunt them many years later when they're 40 years old and they might decide that they want to be the vice president of a company and some very silly comment or comments that they've made online may come back to haunt them.
And do you think they understand that? Do you think that your 10-year-old who's beginning on this whole world of kind of venturing online with her own kind of identity there, do you think that she's more aware than even, say, somebody who's 17 who kind of stumbled on this whole thing without even knowing all of that?
Well, no, No, because I think that a 10-year-old has a very limited purview of the world, and that's the way that it should be because she's a child. We teach her as we feel she can appropriately understand the consequences of her actions. But no, children by definition don't really have a lot of forethought, and that's why we as parents really need to guide them along the way. And that is why, going back to the original question, her digital online life is quite limited to email at this point. And as we feel that she's appropriately able to deal with more, then we will open it up a little bit more. But because we've been having these discussions with her for quite some time, myself and my husband, her father, are quite adept online, and we're pretty well versed in what goes on out there. So we make sure that our child is kept safe.
Leaving the bullying aside for a minute, Samantha, what other concerns do you have about kids using social media? Because I know that one that parents talk about a lot is maybe they're doing all this stuff online and having their social life online instead of social experiences in the real world. Does that concern you?
It does concern me because, as I said, it's so easy to get online and go down that rabbit hole. I find myself doing it, I sometimes have to pull myself away from my computer, my laptop, my smartphone where I'm tweeting and I'm, interacting on Facebook and social media. It's very easy to go down that slippery slope, as it were, because it is an information technology that we use it for. You click on one link, you end up somewhere else. Next thing you know, you're reading another article. Next thing you know, you're talking to somebody else. And I think that because of kids and their very short attention span, I think it's very easy for them to get pulled into that world and not have that really important time, face-to-face time with their friends and being outside and playing like kids should play. I think that the limitation of digital technology is key for parents in raising, very well-balanced kids, as much as I love technology.
Okay. All right, Samantha. Thanks indeed for telling us that.
Thanks very much.
All right. This is going to be interesting. We'll see what calls we get on it, and I'm sure we will. Samantha Kemp-Jackson, parenting writer and blogger on Multiple Mayhem Mama.